A little over a year ago, we retired early, sold the home we had lived in for 18 years, and left the United States to travel full time. The idea had developed over several years as we tried to decide what we wanted our retirement to look like. Instead of buying another home and waiting until traditional retirement age, we chose to use the equity from our house to bridge those years and start traveling while we were still healthy and active enough to enjoy it. We arrived in France excited, prepared, and still unsure what this new life would actually feel like once we began living it every day. We have some new insights now since we've been doing it for a little over a year, and we just wanted to share what we've learned. One of the main things that I've learned to appreciate about our new lifestyle is the freedom we have over our time. We're not bound by meetings or conference calls, and it's just a very relaxing and different approach to our regular day.
Right. Just not even having to go to work and being early retired is the best thing. And the no schedule is the best schedule at this time. We love it. We've been tied to going to work for decades. So now being able to build our own schedule and have our own purpose on a day-to-day is just awesome.
We also enjoy the fact that we get to see more of the world. Every year we'd plan a vacation, and would you get like 3 weeks out of the year to be able to see everything you wanted to see. And it was just, I had years in the future planned. I just had so many vacations that we wanted to take. And now we just get to go see the world.
And it's almost like mind-blowing to think that we can do it now. And we're very excited to be able to do it early in our life instead of when we thought we were going to be older.
And we get to stay longer, which allows us time to experience each of these places so much more and embrace their culture instead of just visiting. Because when you're just visiting, you're just trying to get by and get done what needs to get done. But now we want to learn the language. We want to learn the local grocery store. We just want to learn what a local.
Right. Being on vacation and hopping into all these places is great. But now as people that get to really absorb the place that they're staying in, it just adds a lot more meaning to the stay, I think.
We also don't have the responsibility of home ownership, which is, I didn't realize how much weight that was carrying. We own things, we had stuff. And before we even left, we experienced what it was like to slowly get rid of this stuff and how it just took such a burden off of us. But the home ownership itself, those responsibilities,
it's a huge weight being taken off of our shoulders, because it's like, not only did we, what do they call it when you get rid of some of your things? And it's like when you declutter and you downsize, you kind of like declutter your mind and you have this more freeing, cathartic feeling. And I've gone back to that a couple of times when we always think of, oh, it's so great to not have these responsibilities and not have these chores anymore. Of course, like now we have these new chores of living this slow travel life, but at least we don't have all those possessions to be responsible for anymore.
And we get to do this together. That's a huge benefit. The entire process, the experience of preparing for this new lifestyle, all of it, we were both on board from the get-go, and we're enjoying the fruits of our labor right now, and it's really nice.
Yeah, I don't think we'd be able to do it alone at all. I think the reason why we're doing it is because we're doing it together.
With some good comes some hardships. So we're enjoying a lot of this, but we're also experiencing a new way of living, and we're recognizing that there's a lot of work involved that we didn't expect, such as the constant planning and administrative work. I feel like I have office hours every day. I have a to-do list and I have to focus on what needs to get done for various aspects of our lives, be it the future travel planning, the paying the bills, or our health insurance. No, I can go on, I think, and I'm just
I mean, we've added more chores to our vacation. Like, she's always been the vacation planner. We love our vacations, but those are, set it and forget it. And now these are constant chores that we've now picked up with, like you were saying, like the health insurance and like visas and travel insurance and like your international cell phone plans now. I mean, everything is so much more admin work in a way because you have to stay on top of that as you're traveling.
And it's ongoing. It's not you pick your health plan and it's done. It's like it's a new year. It's time to do this again. It's time to do your taxes. It's time to pick a neighborhood.
And you don't want to wear yourself out with all this planning because traveling is busy enough. It's hard enough. It's stressful enough. Now we travel super light. We're carry-on and a backpack only, and that's keeping all of our traveling like chaos down to a minimum. But you still have those emotional like, oh, we got to get there on time. Oh, I hope it's not late, or I hope we didn't miss it. I hope this bus hurries up.
I think for me, it's the packing. I don't overpack. I've never been an overpacker, but that's what's bothering me is that I find that I don't really have much stuff with me, but yet I'm having trouble fitting it all into that piece of luggage. So I'm finding new ways to pack everything that I want to bring and have. And you just have to think about those things. And then you also have to think about how you're traveling. If we're flying, we now know that we have to minimize our liquids. So when you're even purchasing stuff, you're considering how much time do I have before I'm going to get on a plane. So there's some things that we need to get accustomed to.
You really have to be logical about how you're packing because she's such a minimalist when it comes to things that she brings. Like she really always has this small little group of things that she's bringing. Then all of a sudden her luggage is full.
Yeah, it doesn't fit. I also think that what's been difficult for us is missing family, which is sometimes the case for most people, but we're missing birthdays, we're missing important events. We have our grandkids growing up and we're trying to make sure that we plan our travels around that. So make sure that we see everybody whenever we can.
Yeah, distance is always the biggest thing. And distance was a thing when we're in the United States, trying to see each other on special occasions like birthdays and stuff like that. But it's, those are far in between. And we're just trying to come to terms with that. And it would have been the same as if we were in our old house, I think.
And there's the same communication styles, whether we were back in the United States or not. It's just texting. We're lucky to get
and video
that.
calls now. I mean,
That's
it's
true.
great to have video and be able to celebrate everybody on their own individual way through those calls.
I'd also add that choosing Airbnbs and arriving to certain destinations or being there for a little longer than you'd want is another thing that we're trying to get used to as well. Sometimes you can look up an Airbnb to death and think that it's going to be perfect, such as the Bezier. And it worked out fine, but
it was a minimalist kind of, again, well, not minimalist, but like it was a minimal requirement. It had great reviews, but it wasn't set for long term.
Right. It wasn't made for a 3-month stay.
Right. And then we had our set experience, which we had a water issue where we had to leave the apartment because we had no water for a couple of days while they fixed that. And we're going to have to just go with the punches sometimes. And it is what it is. And it's just pivot when you need to pivot. And we ended up working in a day trip when that happened. So we got to see another town that maybe we didn't expect. It was great.
I'm also finding it difficult to find some familiarity in the products that I like to use every day. I'm finding new products, I'm open to that, but there are just some things that are very specific and particular that I like that I'm not able to find. I love the Force Factor brand for my daily maca, and it's just not available. So I have to pack that. It's probably why I'm running out of space and luggage. But I have to pack enough for whatever time we're going to be away from the United States, and that's pretty rough. There's also...
I always looking for a contact solution, and you can buy big bottles, but then if you're on an airplane, you have to only bring small bottles. So it's always tough to kind of find these liquid requirements sometimes. Same thing with like face wash or body cream or sunscreen. We're always, you want your stuff, and it's hard to find your brand in these different countries. It's fun figuring out what's different and what's maybe the same or comparable, but it's a little bit of a chore.
Yeah, there are some products that you can just replace temporarily, at least, if not permanently. But the contact solution is a perfect example of what's been interestingly difficult to find. Not even just the brand. Sometimes you can't even find any.
Yeah, you don't know if it's going to be in a pharmacy or if it's going to be in a grocery store sometimes.
Just different countries stock up differently.
Different ways. Yeah.
They really do. Recently, we had a situation where I noticed a couple of charges, very minor amounts, but they were on our Chase Freedom Unlimited, the card that we only use in the United States. And I had to call it in. And when you call it in, they issue you a new card, and they sent it next day. And we're not there. So I had to, I mean, obviously the priority was to get the card blocked and stopped. And then I had to figure out, how are we going to receive this? Who's going to be there? Who's going to pick it up? So not having a permanent home for us, it's not so much the needing somewhere to go back to, it's all of those logistics that are important. And that's been difficult. That was a situation that I wasn't prepared for, even though I knew that you could send your, you needed a place to have your card sent. I never thought about, well, what if it needs to be done within 24 hours?
Yeah, it worked out fine. We were in good contact with our neighbor. And so they just picked it up for us, and they're going to hold it until we get back.
Our neighbor at our daughter's home.
Right.
But that worked out, and everything does work out, but it was a situation that made me realize that not having a permanent home base is something that we need to get used to, because we don't know what else is going to come up that we haven't thought of, that maybe we didn't realize. So that was interesting. And so, not everything is bad or difficult. It's just things that we're learning to accommodate and get used to. But I would definitely say that there have been some things that have surprised us.
Yeah.
The most shocking thing of all was that we don't miss the house.
Yeah. And like I was saying, we don't miss our possessions of things anymore.
We do miss the memories, but they come with us. So that works out. That home brought us joy and laughter and everything that you'd expect. And I carry that. That's just... And we have photographs to prove it. But I don't miss the house itself. I don't miss the neighborhood anymore. It had changed. And, whenever you leave somewhere, I grew up moving around somewhat. Whenever you leave somewhere, it's a fact that even if you went back in a month or 2 months or 3 months, it's not the same place. Even if the same people live there, the same streets, it's just not the same place. And our home started to feel that way while we were still living in it. And I realized that it was the neighbors were moving and things were just changing around us. So I'm surprised, because I didn't think that I would just be able to leave and not think about it. And I have left that house, and I only think of the memories, not the house itself, or I wish we still had the house, or I wish we could just go back to that house. I just don't. Yeah. And that surprised me a lot. That's a big surprise.
I think the reason why you're not dwelling on that, and I think if we were sitting in the house and the kids weren't there, we might be, but I think it's because we have so much going on. Like every single day is a new kind of adventure for us, or it's a recovery day from the adventure before, because we're not getting bored, right? And I think that's surprising too. Like when you think of slow travel, you think you're going to be in a place for a long time, and you're not going to have something to do on certain days. And I think those days have not happened. I think we love those days when we don't have something to do, because we're really either recovering or we're making the dinner of what we learned from the day before or the week before. We're just trying something new of the cultures that we're learning every single day.
We talked about that a lot. We talked about, well, what's going to keep us busy?
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure. I thought, well, I'll be fine, but I think I need to figure out how to keep this guy busy, because he keeps bringing it up. But it turns out he's not bored, and that's really good to know.
Yeah. I thought I'd go fishing a lot more, and that's fine. But I'm not missing it as much as I thought I would. Do I think about it? Yes, I do. But I just think we're having too good of a time to worry about all these old routines that we used to have that we no longer have.
But routine does still matter. It does work for us. We still have a routine. We're just creating new ones as we go.
Yeah, I feel like even though we're traveling all the time, we still get to have our old life in a way, because we came up with that kind of routine after the kids left of what we like to do with each other. And now
it keeps us busy.
Now we're just doing it in other countries. Other things that are surprising is how long it takes to do certain things. Before it was just go down to the basement, do your laundry. Now it's do they have a laundry machine here, and do you have to hang dry it, or do you have to go to a laundromat?
Do they take tap to pay, or do we need to
Pay
find
cash.
coins?
Same thing when you go shopping, right? It's like everything is new. You're so used to the grocery stores and their layouts. But like even just finding good produce and finding like healthy foods that you're used to finding in the United States, they may not have the exact same brand here. It's not like you can get all the same stuff.
And of course, there's the language barrier that
of course
makes things take a little longer too. First, you have to get the confidence up to go tackle whatever it is that's going to require you to use the language, and that's effort in itself. But that surprised us. I actually thought that it's okay. We're going to learn this language and we're going to have the basics down, and we're just going to walk in because I speak more than one language. So I just thought, yeah, we're going to figure this out. Yeah. And when we would go on vacations, we did that, and it worked out fine. But when you're living somewhere longer term, like we are now, that language barrier matters. There's definitely more. It surprised me. There's more effort involved.
Definitely.
I would simply say that full-time travel is regular living. You're just living somewhere else.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
We also learned a couple of things that we appreciate now because of our new lifestyle. We know now that slow travel definitely works better, but not in every destination.
Right.
Every destination does not require a longer stay. It might be more affordable to stay somewhere for a longer amount of time, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a place that you need to stay longer. So,
and we've said this before, like use that location as a hub to go somewhere else. If it's well connected, then great. Then you can kind of like pinwheel out or use it as a hub and spoke kind of place to visit all these other locations while you're there.
Cinque Terre was a perfect example of that, I think, because I don't think that I would have wanted to stay there a month or 3 months. I mean, we could stay nearby and visit on a daily, but I thought it was just a great enough adventure to visit for the days that we did and to go back and do it again. But I don't think that I would have wanted to be climbing up and down and hiking every day and live there longer. I think that's just a good...
Well, that's a good example of a destination that is physically exhausting that you can't do all the time. And then there is the ones that are kind of boring and laid out and set up to go visit the other places.
Yeah, so set in the winter. We were there, it was rainy, it was cold, it was windy. It wasn't horrible. We had a decent time, but it wasn't really the time of year for someone to be visiting set. So I would still visit in the winter, possibly, but for a shorter amount of time, not the 3 months that we stayed.
Yeah, I would probably month hop down in the southern part of France. And that would be a cool way of being able to see southern France and the Mediterranean, because it does have some good days, even in the winter.
We also learned that research doesn't prevent every mistake. It doesn't, no matter how much I've researched an Airbnb, for example, we're not going to know that there's going to be a water issue.
Right.
Or as much as we research the best way to get from point A to point B, it doesn't mean that things won't go wrong along the way, and you just need to be prepared to pivot.
Yeah. You have to be flexible enough to go a different direction, spare the moment. And I think that's, kind of what we're learning, as we go.
The Béziers apartment was another example. Perfect location. All of that was good. The perfect location, but again, not set up enough for a longer stay. So as much as we research, we just still need to be prepared to pivot. And that was a learning experience, because I was really one of those people that, I try to read and find all the reviews and find everything I can about the neighborhood, the area. And even with all that, and we still enjoyed ourselves, but a little regretful that we weren't somewhere else, or we didn't stay somewhere different.
Yeah. And who's to say that, staying somewhere else wouldn't have been just another catastrophic problem, but, at least it was calm. When we were there, it was a calm stay. We didn't get kicked out. It was just a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah. The point is just that no matter how much research we do, we can't prevent every problem.
Yeah.
Those experiences taught us that flexibility and backup plans are essential. You have to be prepared to pivot at all times. And thankfully, we have the time and the ability to do that now.
Right.
And sometimes you could save money by having a longer travel day instead of trying to get from point A to point B in 2 hours on a flight that's going to cost you, I don't know, $400 each. You could take a train that takes all day to get you here, there, wherever, and get there for 180 each. And we have the time. And so
and that's part of the adventure.
Yeah.
I love taking the longer route sometimes. Maybe that's another reason why I like driving so much, is that's part of, what do they say? The travel is part of the adventure, right?
Yes.
It's not the destination.
It's not the destination. It's the journey. I also learned to make sure, and I think I always did this, but now I'm very conscious of it, that anything and everything that I purchase, especially in regards to travel, needs to be cancelable. I need to be able to cancel it if necessary. True. Because sometimes you don't want to book things so far in advance. But if you're getting the better price to do so, you want to be able to do that and know that you can still cancel it. It's just our new way of thinking. Everything needs to, and sometimes you find that place that you think is the perfect place, and yet the cancellation is tomorrow. And if you don't have enough time to make the decision, so you just don't do it. You just don't take that place because you're safer making sure that you can cancel wherever you go versus a beautiful place that you're not able to cancel and then something comes up.
Yeah, especially when you're scheduling 6 months out of the time like we are, or even 3. You just want to make sure that there's that comfort level, because you don't want to spend extra money where you don't need to.
Well, unless it's for accommodation, because the quality of where we're staying every day is what shapes our entire experience. And we experienced that in Béziers, for example, as well, where we went out and we bought the things that we felt we would need for a 3-month stay, since the location didn't have that accommodation didn't have it. And it's just vital to do that. I think that it's the most important thing is to be comfortable in wherever you're staying, regardless of what country you're in or what town or city you're in. Something else that we learned while traveling together for the past year is that it's almost as though we had prepared for this. When the kids left the house, our lives changed. We just changed our routine. Everything just transitioned for us because there were no kids around to keep us entertained, I suppose. And so we needed to entertain ourselves. And our routine became pretty solid, where Scott was still going to work and I'd still wake up and I do what I do. I get the groceries or whatever it was, but there was a routine involved where we would go out to dinner or we would make dinner together and we discussed what we were going to do on the weekend. And then the weekends just became a whole plan. Are we going to go ride our bikes? Are we going to go down to the Cape? What are we doing on the weekend? But we were constantly planning and spending our day together doing those plans. And it's what we're doing now.
Yeah, I think traveling is like a long weekend for us now, right? I mean, we really started to change the way that we lived our lives for when the kids had us running on their schedule. And now our schedule is kind of like we get to date again in a way and get to think about the world in without handcuffs. Not to say that the kids
You just said
handcuffs. I'm just saying that
without those limitations.
There's restrictions. Yes, for sure.
I think that after traveling for a year, there are some things that we might consider doing differently. We've discussed. I think that in this year we spent a good chunk of it in one country in 3 locations. We did do some fast travel, we did do some slow travel, and we did take some cruises. So we want to continue to mix that up, but I think that we're going to mix those shorter and longer stays a little bit more than the 3 long stays, and maybe stay a month at a time, if not 2 months at a time in different locations. I don't think we're going to try and stay 3.
Yeah, and maybe only stay a short time in the places that only need those short time stays. Like if it's a little bit of a distance from those hubs, then we'll go spend a night or 2 over there and then go back or go to the next destination from there.
We're also going to try and visit more regions because we are realizing, we keep saying, these are the years where we're capable and we should take advantage of those. And there are just so many other places that we want to visit while we're still able to hike or walk and strenuous activities. So we're going to try and do that. And we're also going to try to focus on less administrative stuff.
We're going to try and let that, there was so much visa work and paperwork to do this year that we may try and get rid of that next year because it was so time consuming.
There will
For
still
that.
be places that we have to apply for a visa, and so that's natural. But what we just went through in France was just a more in-depth visa process, and we realized that it's just not time for us to do that yet. We still have too much to see, and we just have to take advantage of what we can.
Right.
And so there will be visas, but the administrative work will
Calm down,
a
hopefully.
little bit, hopefully. We want to leave more room for spontaneity. You know, we want to not have everything so planned out. We knew where we were going to be staying, like for those 3 months, and then what we're going to do in those 3 months. We want it to be more of, you know, we're here today. Where do you want to go next? And just plan like that. And that we're hoping to do that in the coming year.
Yeah, and we're trying to not tire ourselves out while doing it. So we're gonna, maybe fast travel at some times, but make sure that we have like good recovery times after that. So we're staying in places that will give us that moment of breathing room to allow us to just like enjoy ourselves a little bit more and relax a little bit more. Because that's what retirement's all about, right?
I hope so, because that's what I've been looking forward to. So with all that said, we do not regret our decision. We're very excited that we're doing this, and we're happy that we both wanted to do this.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing too. It's like you got to be in it together to make all those decisions together, and love that you both love traveling.
I would say that if I were to go back to the idea of the concept of retiring at 67 and downsizing into an apartment and or to another state, when I think about that, I think I'm so glad that this exists, because this is what I want to be doing in my retirement. And so this is still what we'd like to be doing. And so I'm glad that we can. So for our second year, we want to make sure that it's full of the same excitement that we've been experiencing this first year. We don't want to ever create a dull experience. We were very excited to come out and do this, and we want to make sure that we continue to be excited, just as if it was the first day that we landed in Lyon. We want to see new things, and we just want to keep moving.
And it's going to be really hard to top our first year excitement and to keep moving with that kind of energy. But I think it is going to be keep self-care top of mind and keep those things that we always wanted to do in retirement, which is kind of like read more, exercise more, and relax more. That's our primary focus for, I think, our upcoming year. We'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time.